Hello. Hi. How are you? I'm your host, Grim or Jay. But buckle up because without further ado, we're gonna get into Grimm's Horror Tales. The story of this one is called A Message Appeared on Every Screen in the World. Hide. I stared with confusion at my phone. The rest of us, or the gang really, we were all in on this Monopoly game. I swear to God, if you get free parking, I will literally kill your stupid face, said Evelyn. Ravi rolled the dice in his hands. Come on. Sweet baby Jesus. I need a four. He dropped them onto the board, screaming, Fuck! He said, probably biffing it like always. I tried to make sense of it, just a word on my screen, black text on an all white background, a rather classical looking font that just said hide. I tapped rather impatiently on the expensive black rectangle. The text wouldn't disappear, which I found to be odd. And we all still kept playing like anyway. AJ, Evelyn called, like a teacher busting a student. You're fucking addicted. Played board games like a normal human adult. Sorry. A few more desperate finger pricks at the screen, then I turned to holding the power button down for an extended period. With my free hand, I grabbed the dice, rolled a 3, landed on B and O Railroad. After 2 seconds of thought, screw the railroads, I said. Screw them. Of course, we weren't animals. If someone didn't want to buy property, that was fine. No auctions or any of that nonsense. House rules. Back to the phone as Hero, on my left, took the cubes and prepared to drag his sorry little shoe across Go to get his $200. A minute with the power button didn't do anything. We were now entering factory reset territory. I contemplated borrowing Ravi's laptop to Google whatever this might have been. I felt the apartment rumble, albeit just for a split second, as if an earthquake happened. I was very tense briefly. The background noise from the TV no one wants. This autoplaying on Netflix disappeared, followed by faint sounds of flicker, of static. Ravi was the first to get up. I don't, he said, talking slowly as if not to jinx. I don't think that was an earthquake, y'all. He examined the TV, confused at the outrage. He even checked the wires. Shouldn't be the breaker. I don't have that much stuff plugged in, do I? I grappled with the sad, likely hack state of my phone and a weird font staring me down. Damn, that's weird, Hero said, half laughing. Head lifted. What? I asked to catch Hero turning his phone to me. His home screen too had been replaced by a black text atop of a white one, saying wide. The situation left me more confused than anything else, just wondering, why would it say hide? Evelyn, as anti-technology as it comes, had properly clocked this reprieve as her time to quickly respond to long outstanding texts. What the hell? What is this? At my confused look, bordering on scowl, resting scowl face, she flipped her phone around to show me the damage. It was the same on hers. I grew a bit nervous. Ravi, where's your phone? I asked him. I'm sure it's somewhere, he said, still tinkering with the TV. Likely not due to any of this troubleshooting. It flashed back to life, red power light at the base, blinking steadily. A simple message now appeared on the big screen. Hide. Hide? Ravi asked, grabbing the remote and pressing buttons to swap back to Netflix, but nothing. was registering. Dude, I said to everyone. He turned around. I showed him my phone, and everyone's phone said hide. That's he looked back at the TV, then at us. How was that possible? He said. Hero and Evelyn showed us their phones, and Hero asked, "Is that like an Amber Alert?" I mean, I guess, but that's a push notification. This is like completely overtaking the screen. Ravi's eyebrows furrowed on different hardware as well. A hack, I asked. He shrugged. That's kind of a weird hack now, if you think about it. Government experiment? Hero again asked. A thought came over me. I walked to the balcony, slid it open, stepped out onto it. Eye of Sauron, the city from Ravi's 14th floor apartment, and the neighboring apartment towers. Most of the units had blinds down, curtains closed. The few unshuttered, however. I felt like that guy from the rear window, contained strangers staring perplexed at their phones, at their computers. The sides of bolted to the walls TVs and more, barely visible to me. Everything that I could look at around me screamed, hide. Everyone else joined me on the balcony. Whatever it is, it's hit the entire block, I said. I looked down at the city streets, most of the people caught in a similar pattern, holding patterns of standing phones and more, just heads fixated to their devices. I guess we don't have anything to call the cops with, Hero said. I'm sure that they're aware, I said. Maybe wait it out until it's fixed, Ravi said. I nodded and gulped. Something weird was amiss, but something bad. I nodded, and yet I could tell Evelyn was a bit petrified. Sorry, I cannot say that word. But she was forcing magnetic thoughts to imbue her silence with weight. Thoughts, I asked her. I mean, should we do it? She asked. Do what? Ravi said. Hide. She asked. Hide where? Ravi asked. I don't know, she said. I mean, we're already in my apartment. I'm sure that's good enough, right? A pause ensued. Let's not lose our heads, Ravi continued. This is nuts, but it's not. I mean, it's not like literally hide, right? Hero clicked his fingers. What if it's for viral marketing, like for a movie? Hero with the necessary but intentional levity. This is where we pause the story. Because no matter how you try to think this through, if you have something ordained on your phone that dares to tell you to hide, and you decide to look outside and you see the same thing, don't even chalk this up to some experiment or whatever. Genuinely do as it says. But without further ado, we're going to go back into the story. Hacking our phones so we can't use them? I don't know if that's in Lionsgate's purview, man, I said. Then I headed towards Evelyn to ask her, but hide? The flicker in her eyes more than meant that she sided with the light bulb in her head. She returned to the inside and got to exploring Ravi's apartment carefully. What are you doing? Ravi asked, and everyone else, including me, followed. I don't care if I look stupid. It could be a warning. Maybe something is happening, she said. We're in a box, basically. We're fine, Ev. But the fucking thing, she motioned to the TV then her phone, says hide. Maybe it's that literal maybe maybe it is that literal. She continues scouting, finally settling on a sliding closet in Ravi's room, the best she could come up with in the 600 square foot quarters. I'll do here unless you can find somewhere that's better. Evelyn, Ravi stressed. She shuffled in past hung garments, scooching to the end to make space. I'm gonna close the door soon, and if you're really my friends, you'll join me. Awkward silence until Hero chimed first. I mean, guess it's good to be safe, right? He went in, second guessed for a second, then committed to entering. You guys get the luxury of laughing at me forever if I'm dumb. Win-win, she called while Hero wedged in beside her. A compelling argument, certainly. Begrudgingly, I followed, tucking in Nick's under Ravi's dress clothes. There was still some room for him inside his own closet. Bloody hell, he caved, joining last, sliding the door closed to introduce darkness. I went back to my phone, and it still said hide. How long do we have to stay in here? Ravi asked. 5 minutes, she said. Yeesh, he tagged. And then we sat in still darkness for a while. Distant tick, tick, ticks of the clock in the living room, bringing down the blood pressure a tad. I felt like a clown. It all felt silly, but kind of fun. Remember when we kept camping at Sunlight Groves? Hero asked. Glamping, Ravi clarified. Ev thought she saw the bear. Hero laughed. A bear and his cub. It was dark and it looked like bears, she said, half laughing. I heard noises too. Bears at Sunlight Groves, he said. Saddest patch of trees in America. Guys, shut up. We're here, so let's commit to the bit before the conjuring doll gets us, said Ravi, surprisingly not bitterly. We kept our traps shut for another minute. Eyes at my phone again. Hide. All that it wrote. All of it in reality. But in a way that was starting to sit more and more uncomfortable with me. What do you think it is? Hero whispered. I shook my head, Evelyn with a light shrug. Ravi with a deep inhale before speaking. I mean, obviously sophisticated, he said, but with his voice low. Like it's obviously something. I waved my phone. My bank is on this brick now, basically. I'm fucked. They'll figure something out. Powerful knocks at his apartment door all of a sudden came. Thump, thump, thump. Knock, knock, knock. Thundering. Hey, a voice called out, muffled through the walls. Ravi, you there? Evelyn braced. Who is that? A skinwalker, obviously, replied Ravi. Kidding, that's my neighbor Monica. Evelyn reached across me and Hero to tug at Ravi's sleeve. Are you positive? Yes, and I should probably get it. You said 5 minutes. She said, yeah, but now I'm being a pretty trash neighbor right now, he replied. The knocking persisted, but so did the words. I have this weird thing on my phone. Brad has it too. It says hide. TV, same thing. Computer, same thing. I don't know how to reach anyone or what to do, the neighbor trailed on. Ravi blew air out of his nose. Alright, this is stupid. I'm gonna... No, Evelyn said. But then all of a sudden he stopped. We all stopped. I felt something very, very. The knocking stopped. Or at least I couldn't hear anything. Not the ticking of the clock, nor the soft rustle of us against clothing. It was like the world held its breath. Like there was a presence right outside the closet. Then the sting of static in my ear before it passed. Whatever it was, the feeling dissipated. The sound returned, and I sneaked a glance at my phone. The word hide was gone, and replacing it was my home screen. The silence between the four of us was uncomfortable. Did you feel that? Evelyn finally whispered. No one said anything. Ravi outstretched his arm yet again to slide the door open, but his hands were shaking. You can do it, I whispered. I think we're good. He steeled himself, looking very much like he was crossing some sort of internal threshold. He pulled the door aside, revealing his room exactly as we left it. We took it in. I'm gonna answer Monica, he said, but with not a lot of whole vigor in his voice, getting up and creeping out of the room. We followed, stopping in the living room while he continued to the door. I went to Twitter. Of all things. Searched hide and sorted by new. Evelyn, meanwhile, grabbed a remote from the stand and turned the TV on. Now hideless. On she maneuvered through the Roku channels. What are you looking for? Hero asked. Just like a live channel, I guess, she replied. The news, maybe? My scrolling wasn't yielding anything of help or anything at all. It's like the entire world just ignored it. My focus shifted to Ravi, who was standing on the welcome mat, eye pressed against the door's peephole. He hadn't moved. Everything all right, man? I asked. He never replied. He just stood there, frozen. I approached slowly. She's... I heard him croak. I reached him, patting him on the shoulders and urging him to detach from the door viewer. He finally did. Leaning against the wall before slowly sliding to a seat on the floor, I looked through the hallway. Outside his neighbor, the one that was knocking, it looks like she's been skewered, decimated. An explosion of blood in the hallway. What I felt was a buzz on my phone, and I pulled it out again. But on the phone, it ironically said, again. Before I could even process, I heard Ravi and Evelyn react. There's another one. It says again now. I turned to see the foreboding word on the TV. Fuck. All that ran through my mind. So we should hide again, Hero called, with distress in his voice. Much like Ravi, I was shell-shocked. AJ, what do you think we should do? He repeated. Evelyn trying to force the words out of my mouth. You had good instincts the first time. What do you think? How much time do we have left? She said. How much time passed before the word hide when we felt that presence in the closet? Thinking to it now, it must have been 10 minutes, I heard Ravi mutter. Almost lifeless he felt. I don't... Wait, what did you just see outside? Evelyn asked. She started approaching and I stopped her. I don't think it'll be good for you to see it, I told her. Are, are you serious? She responded. Yes, I said sternly, immediately realizing that lying might have been smarter. We can assume we didn't have the same amount of time, Ravi added in. I went with my pitch. Do we try the same spot? Hiro started pacing, thinking, tapping his foot. Because if you think about it, when it says to hide, we hid. Now it's saying again, obviously meaning that whatever happened is going to happen again. He gave us a look. He was completely drained of expressions. We were too. What was just waiting on the other side of the door. That's a great recap, man, I said. What I mean is that when you play, if you keep picking the same spot over and over, eventually it'll catch up to you. Are we really going to apply some sort of logic to this? Ravi mumbled. Evelyn fortified herself. I think he's right. It's nuts. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we need to operate on gut. And gut tells me we better pick spots this time. But spots make it sound like we should split up, I said. Looking around, slowly realizing that the limited real estate we had to work with means that the suggestion made more sense than I would have liked. I turned to Ravi. Where should we go? He shook his head, palmed his forehead a few times to slap himself back in reality. We do... He started thinking. 2 under my bed, he grimaced, letting neurons collide in his mind. One of us in the utility closet, and the other the laundry closet. He got up and pointed. One of the closets was right behind me. Life in him again. Now, he said. My eyes flitted to Hiro and Evelyn, who ran into the bedroom. Ravi gave me a nod before entering the closet. I entered the utility closet and closed mine. Rather, I tried to. The door wasn't clicking shut. Fuck, I said to Ravi. The door is not... But then I fought the urge to say anything. If time was up, I'd compromise my spot. Hell, compromise his hiding spot too if I kept talking. I tried a few more times to get closed. I committed, terrified out of my mind, to gripping the handle and keeping it shut. I tried to keep my shaking hand and quickening breath in check as complete silence. And I felt that presence come in. I felt a light tug at the door. I kept my hold firm, but didn't dare to try to overpower it. Didn't want to quickly give myself away. And again it stopped. The feeling disappeared, and I waited 15 seconds before sneaking a look at my phone to see that the again warning sign was gone. I heard the sound of Ravi's door swing open first, followed by mine. He was emotional. I forgot that door was fucked. I was scared, man, and I just didn't want to... I said, you're all good, man. It's all right. I know. I even heard you call for me, and I panicked, and I thought it... I said to him, we're alive, man. It's all right. We're just... And I immediately realized it wasn't just us, Evelyn and Hiro. Right. We ran to the bedroom. Nothing at first. The two hadn't emerged. For a moment, the horrifying thought that we might be pulling their corpses out from underneath the bed rushed past me. Guys, I said, coast is clear, quick. Silence for quite some time before they finally shuffled out in one piece alive. As they shifted from the crawl to bend to standing, I wanted to hold them. Hold everyone. For just a second, I felt a newfound appreciation for life in their faces and personalities. Another buzz on my phone, and I took a look. Break time! I let out a sigh of relief and showed the message to everyone. I guess that's good, Evelyn said. A second to catch our breaths after this craziness. But then what? Is this just going to continue? Ravi said. We walked into the living room together. We haven't even got a single second to warp our heads around this. Something in me didn't seem right. Hey Ev, how'd you know that we should have stayed in the closet for 5 minutes? Hero asked, somewhat pointedly. I clocked minor annoyance in her face at the question. I didn't know anything. It was a guess. But I mean, you guys were lucky I was here and pushed forward because, Jesus, you were all stubborn. Hero wore a strange expression as he looked at her. Sounds like you wanted to say something more, she said. Why would I? What makes you think I'd... Ravi interrupted Hero by stepping between the two of them. Holy hell, keep your heads on, people. But as he said it, and maybe it was just an aberration in my mind, but I couldn't help feel something significant stir within me, something really inflame. As if even though his face was straight, he was concealing some sort of inner smile at what was happening. Hero, I think you're focusing your skepticism in the wrong direction, I said. Ravi's expression turned, irritated, which all but confirmed it for me. I don't know if you want to be mad at the person that saved us the first time, I said, trying to make a point by motioning to Evelyn. But as I looked at her, something felt wrong too. I contained it. Or rather, the person who wanted to go to the closet. And then something more obvious hit me. Wait. Ravi. You tried to kill me. And all of a sudden I was glaring at him. My temper rising by metric tons every second as if it was all starting to make sense. Evelyn and Hero joined me. Ravi looked incredulous. I already admitted that I fucked up with the door. I confessed to you. Why are you trying to make things worse? I was trying to calm them down, then noticing approaching us. Well, we were approaching him. He backed towards the kitchen cabinets. He pointed at me. You were on your phone first when this first happened, he said, as if he were waving. My bad, as if he was having his own revelation. You were waiting for it to start. That is an insane fucking misdirect, I said, positive that I couldn't trust him. But as my eyes turned to Evelyn and Hero, I realized I couldn't trust them either. Couldn't trust anyone. Still, Ravi absolutely needed to be the first to go. The first to be disposed of. He grabbed the knife from the cupboard and held it at us. And only the smallest thought in the back of my mind was telling me that we were being toyed with. It was so incredibly obvious that whatever it was had a handle. But unfortunately, that understanding was academic for me at best, as I kept finding every string of thoughts and emotions connecting. Everything added up. The logic sound. My emotions inflamed. Break time, Evelyn said. It's breaking us. Of course she would know that, though, if she were in on it. We all looked at her. Watched for sudden movements from any of these traitors. These motherfuckers. Even a millimeter shift wouldn't get past me. It's overriding us. It's flooding us with anger that isn't ours and real as it feels. She faced her phone at us, beckoning us to read it clearly. Break time, it said. We can't fall to it, she said. And that small, grounded part of me took over, even though I was sure with everything in my soul that these three were the source of everything that was happening. Ravi's grip on the knife tightened as he and the rest of us remained in the bizarre equilibrium of our four-way standoff. It's all of you, I thought to myself before I felt a lightness take over me. Like an insatiable hunger fading, or extreme fear dissipating when you realize that the noise in the other room wasn't a person, but rather something knocking over. My feelings of unrest, paranoia were gone. My screen once again returned to its default background. It was hard to describe how I felt now. Lucidity, shame. I looked at Ravi sadly. His head hung low as he put the knife back in its place. Hero turned to Evelyn first. "I'm sorry," he said. Then to Ravi, "I'm sorry." Everybody collectively said sorry, and Evelyn said, "You're welcome, assholes. We deserve that." "That was insane," Ravi said. "Like a messed up roller coaster ride," Evelyn said. I didn't, that wasn't me," that Hero said. Like something was in me and it was. "It's okay, man. I was getting tired of saying it, and I certainly, out of everyone, didn't deserve to impart forgiveness anyway after where my own head was 30 seconds ago. We need to like write something down. Like we are suspectable. Don't forget," Ravi said. "We just need to remember to keep your heads on," I interrupted. "Remember." But I think the fear that again would pop up on our phones drove him to start rummaging for some paper, start scribbling some words on it while the rest of us try to soak in the reprieve of nothing happening, every half second a luxury. I wanted to say sorry another 20 or so times, something I was sure wasn't a feeling unique to me, you know. "I feel like I'm losing myself," I said. "It's like a dream at this point." "Yeah," Ravi said. "We're," Hero looked at us carefully, "probably all gonna die. Should we, like, say our words, I guess?" Don't talk like that," Evelyn said. "How many people do you think are dead?" Hero asked. I went to the TV, temporarily free yet again from one or two word mandates, turned it on, toggled through the home screen until I found the live stream of a soccer game. One fixed camera angle. Everyone in a stadium. Torn apart. Players on the field, within frame, eviscerated. I returned to the homepage, navigating in an attempt to find a different program. Something live. I clicked on what appeared to be the news channel I hadn't heard of before. The sight of an empty desk appeared. Wires leading under the desk made me think that perhaps the anchor was hiding under it. "We are trying to report, knowing," the news anchor said, "knowing that the signal is going to cut. I've survived so far. Survived exactly whatever this might be. But the camera footage I've seen is extensive. I strongly recommend," and the broadcast was interrupted by the new word. "Seek." Again in classical lettering. And the screen cracked, then shattered with a loud pop, sending bits of glass onto the floor, as did the screen on my phone that I placed on the coffee table, as did the phones in Evelyn and Hero's hands too, reactively dropping on the floor by the pair, a weak bounce before settling. I panicked. "Seek, seek," I said desperately, trying to jolt my brain to the task. "Maybe something out of place." Evelyn said. "What if we have to find what's killing everyone?" said Hero. I don't. I started, but I couldn't even muster up anything close to a sentence. I ran to the balcony outside to see if there was something obvious to look for. Maybe in the sky, the city. What I spotted on the neighboring high-rises was blood-stained curtains, unrecognizable bodies where blinds were lifted, and as my eyes darted from spot to spot, a lead. A small TV in one of the apartments. The screen looked unbroken. A word on it I couldn't make out. 5 letters was the best I could do. It's the screens, I said. We need to find a screen that still works. I ran back into the living room. Does anyone have binoculars? They all looked at me. Why the fuck would anyone have binoculars? Ravi asked. There's a screen, I think, on one of the other apartment buildings. It's working. There's a word, but I can't see it. We need to find another one. I don't know. I ran into Avi's office. Computer screen broken. Grabbed his laptop. Shattered. Nope. I nervously tapped my chest with the fingerprints of both of my hands, while the rest desperately searched for something viable too. Did I have to run to the other apartment? Would there even be enough time? How would I get in even? And then, like a bolt of the blue, it hit me. Ravi, where's your phone? His voice was a little confused. I don't know, I lose it all the time. Find it, I said. You really think that's it? We're looking for a functional screen. It's the only one we haven't ruled out yet. I turned to Hero next. Check out the other apartments on this floor. See if any of the doors are unlocked. If they are, go inside. Check everything. Phones, laptops, TVs. Doesn't matter. See if there's a message intact on any of them. On it, he said, rushing to the door, opening it, freaking out at the body in front, nearly tripping. Then composed himself and rushed towards the hallway as the door closed behind him. We tore apart Ravi's apartment next. Couch cushions. Where do you usually lose it? I asked. My head peeked underneath the bed, peeked into the counters alongside Evelyn. Desperately. I don't know, man, he answered. It's stupid, but sometimes I literally just chuck it across the room. Oh, that's extremely helpful, I blurted out loud. In the bathroom, I looked in the medicine cabinet, then back into his room, to his closet, checking the pockets of all of his pants. I started to feel the inevitable looming. This was the one that was going to kill us. Love you guys. I heard Evelyn say it almost under her breath, like she could feel it too. No tangible ticker down, just countdown, but a feeling in our chest. A train closing with us tied to the tracks. Ravi running to the stand, the TV stand, looking back. And I was in the living room again. Sure, there was nothing left. My eyes lowering to the painful game we just started our diddly evening with. Specifically to the messy pile of 50s, 20s, and 10s on Ravi's side. I knew his etiquette for swapping some of them out for the hundreds, and just my mind kept cluttering. I crouched and did an even more aggressive sweep of the spot that we started our desperate search for, only to discover his preserved Samsung Galaxy A35 underneath the fake money with a new word to greet me. Smile. And it really did feel like time was up this time. I found it, you have to smile. I screamed like a goddamn auctioneer. Evelyn turned from her spot in the kitchen. What? I ripped the phone from the ground and held it up to her. Smile. She mirrored uncomfortable expression, all teeth, feigned happiness, as did Ravi as he bolted out of the room before even seeing the message or my intense eyes. Hero threw open the door. Couldn't find anything. I'm sorry, he screamed. He saw how wide our smiling faces were and our eyes screaming at him to get the hint as I tried them out the words while keeping my pose. But instead it sounded like a schmeh. and yet the confusing sight. With the luckiest stroke in the world, he copied and showed me those pearly whites. I retained my beaming smile, feeling a tear of fear going down my cheek, while my eyes glued to Ravi's phone in my hand, hoping and praying that we wouldn't all get torn apart. And the word disappeared. I showed the group the proof, and one by one our cheery expressions dropped to our default nervous frowns, resting scowl face restored. A collective exhale. I can't fucking do this, said Ravi. I know, Evelyn added. And unlike some of the gaps we've been afforded in the past, I already spotted a new message, something that broke me. And my single remaining right hand. With a look of fear in my eyes, to my right hand, it said, point to sacrifice. I could feel the group's eyes on me. I couldn't hide the misery. What? Ravi asked. Point to sacrifice, I said, barely legible. AJ? I tilted the phone so they could read it. I couldn't say the words any louder. My body wouldn't let me. Underneath the words, a timer had been running. One that was already down to 145, 144, 143 by the time I flashed the phone, and yet still all of us needed more seconds to let it settle. I felt defeated truly this time. All right, said Ravi, cutting through the holding pattern. So what? We talk it through with the time we have left. Maybe we all agree on someone to point it. I mean, hey, fuck it. Fuck knows what I have to live for. Hero next. My family, dad, siblings, mom. I wasn't even thinking of this entire time. They're dead? Probably. Yeah, I interrupted. His words hitting me immediately and curbing any social etiquette I had left. Everyone I had ever known was likely gone. Evelyn smiled at us softly. I just have you guys now, she said. So, yeah, fuck this. Immediately pointing to herself, almost causing me to die on the spot right then and there. In fear that she'd be torn apart immediately. But the counter was still ticking down. I flipped the board on this bullshit, she said without wavering. 1, 12, 1, 11, 1, 10. Hero pointed to himself. Fuck it, yeah. You know what? I flipped the board too, he said. I looked at him almost nervously. Really? After all that, guys? 107, 106, 105 left. If there is a hell, Ravi said. Unlikely, but what the fuck? Maybe we dodged that bullet. He curled his index finger pointing towards himself. Flipped the board. I just looked at them. It was strange to feel a deluge of selfish thoughts flooding into me all at once. 0, 40, 0, 39, 0, 38. Alright, I said, copying my peers, let's do it. I pointed at myself too, like we were playing Simon Says or something. 0, 33, 0, 32, 0, 31. I took an appreciative look at my old friends, the longest standing friends I'd ever have in my stupid life, and then at the Monopoly board we were playing. It really was quite an awful game. I don't know why we subjugated ourselves to it. 0, 27, 0, 26. I saw the pile of money on free parking. 0, 23, 0, 22. The only way to make it fun was to play without the bullshit rules. House rules. 0, 20, 0, 19. Wait, I said, follow me. I sprinted to the door. I opened it, held it open for the rest. 0, 15, 0, 14, 0, 13. I pointed at Ravi's dead neighbor in the hallway, Monica. We didn't know what we were dealing with until she died. Her sacrifice gave us a good chance, I said, almost looking at as if speaking to whoever was enacting this terror on us. I was aware it was a reach. 0, 9, 0, 8. And we probably lost a lot of humanity since then. So sorry, I said, pointing at her, and thank you. And my best friends pointed too. A real morbid way to close things out with a clash of sorry and thank you. Escaping them as we likely knew that they would be their last words. I had really interrupted what was quite a nice moment and sighed for the strangeness. Zero, 2, 0, 1, 0. House rules, I said. And then I prepared myself for it. Pain. Annihilation. But nothing came. Instead, Ravi's phone in my hand just read, "Good game." Before defaulting to Ravi's homepage picture, a Borzoi, he didn't even own one. He was just obsessed with that breed of dog. We stood for 10 minutes, it felt like, before we finally ventured inside, single-filed like a group of polite zombies. I was unsure what to make of that, all of that, the state of the world, what was going on. I sat back down at the Monopoly board. The others, in an almost Manchurian candidate way of sorts, took their spots too. I think it was my turn, I said. Grabbing the dice, I rolled a 10. It was a 10. I tapped my top hat on each square until I landed on Short Line Railroad. "Do you want to buy it?" Evelyn asked. I thought about it for too long. Sure. And that concludes the story. Well. That was extremely well written. A fantastic story of the best kind. Something I've been harboring to look forward to for a while. Truly an edge of the seat type of deal. Imagine being with your friends, right? Family, acquaintances, whoever, right? Things can go south in any way. Especially if you don't adhere to the rules that it tells you to. And the only indicator that you get that this is truly fucked up is your neighbor's mangled corpse. Bloody exciting. You want something that will genuinely give you no sleep. Then to even further solidify that things are going fucked up, you check the live stream and you see dozens, thousands upon people mangled or whatever you witness. Then towards the end, it tells you to point to a sacrifice, knowing anything could happen as you brace for a wave of annihilation or just something crazy. it never comes. And you suddenly go back to playing Monopoly. Imagine how crazy to go through and witness all of that. To go through all that emotions array of just crazy things, thinking that everyone's out to get you, and some other subsequent stuff. Well, let's not further dwell on something horrifying like that. I'm your host, Grim, or Jay, and hopefully that's a story to not get you any sleep or to keep you awake. I'll see you next time. See you later, Fiend, because we're going to keep it grim around here.